can't believe I'm here, playing for my life tonight.
I can't believe I'm here, I made it, I'm playing for my life tonight. I'm a shining light. I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm here. Playing for our life tonight. Yeah, I'm playing for our life tonight.
Welcome, friends, to Kingdom Driven Sports. This is going to be my Week 4 picks for the NFL. I'm excited to get started, so let's jump right in. I do hope you're having a wonderful day so far, and thank you for checking out my videos and supporting my channel. I appreciate it greatly. If you haven't liked the video, please do, and also please subscribe. That really helps out the channel. Without further ado, let's get started. So we have our Thursday night game, which is between the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals. Seahawks are favored by 1.5 points, given their dominance of the Saints and the way they played. I am leaning towards them in this matchup between the Cardinals, especially since James Conner went down with a season-ending injury. So I have the Seahawks winning 23-21 over the Arizona Cardinals. Should be a good and fun divisional matchup. But yeah, the Seahawks versus the Cardinals, I'm taking the Seahawks 23-21. And then on Sunday, we have an international game in Dublin, Ireland, between the Vikings and the Steelers. The Vikings are 2.5 point favorites, and I am actually taking the Vikings to win 30-23. The Steelers' defense has me a little bit concerned because they haven't looked like your typical Steelers defense. I used to remember watching the Steelers and the Ravens play these really vicious battles where the defenses really stepped it up, and it was probably a lot like the Steel Curtain days and that really tough football. I remember Ben Roethlisberger in one of those matchups got his nose broken. And so the Steelers defense has me a little bit concerned. I'm not sure which version of Aaron Rodgers is going to show up. I just think the Vikings, the way Carson Wentz was able to manage the game last week, and it just seemed their offense and their defense were clicking on all cylinders. I think the Vikings are able to get another win here over the Steelers, 30-23. So now we have our Sunday 1 o'clock slot, 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. The first game is Saints versus the Bills. The Bills are 15.5 point favorites. The Bills are trying to contend for a Super Bowl and looking like they could be making a case to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl if things continue the way they're going. The Saints are rebuilding. I have the Bills beating the Saints 34-20 and making it look pretty easy. The next game on that 1 o'clock slot is the Chargers, who are 6.5 point favorites over the Giants. Again, the Giants, they've come out and said they're going to start Jackson Dart. It's going to be his first NFL start, so I think he's kind of like Cam Ward, going to have some growing pains, going to make some mistakes. But from what I understand, the Giants really like what they see so far from him. So we'll see how that goes. I'm choosing the Chargers 24-17. I do have my concerns about Najee Harris not playing in this game and having suffered that injury. I think they suffered another injury as well, if I remember correctly, but that was a couple weeks ago, and they've played very well, just the next man up mentality. I expect the same thing here, but I do want to see how much of an effect losing Najee Harris has on the Chargers, but I do think they'll win this game. Again, 24-17. The reason I have it as close as it is, not a blowout, is because the one thing the Giants do have is a really good defensive line. I want to see if they make it difficult on the Chargers offense by getting pressure on Herbert, but we'll see. I still have the Chargers winning 24-17. The next game at the 1 o'clock slot is the Commanders, 2.5 point favorites over the Falcons. If this was the Commanders from last year, Jaden Daniels, everyone was healthy. Terry McLaurin's not 100% healthy. I don't think they ruled him out yet, but I think he's questionable to play. Even so, with the terrible showing that the Falcons had in their last game where they put up a goose egg against the Carolina Panthers. I have lost a lot of faith in the Falcons. And I definitely gained more faith in the Commanders this past week because I had chosen the Raiders to beat them. And they actually handled their business very well. I think they're going to handle business again in this game. I think they cover the spread and they win 28-21. I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Penix struggles again if Kirk Cousins comes into the game. Would be interesting if that happens. Again, I don't know what to expect from the Falcons. It was pretty surprising to me that they performed so poorly this past game and that they weren't even able to get a single point, not even a field goal. I think Washington takes care of business with them. And Marcus Mariota, if he ends up playing for them and Jaden Daniels isn't ready to go, I think he's a great backup. So I think they'll be able to go with him and still do well. The next game is definitely one of the games of the week for me. It is the Eagles and the Buccaneers. So the Eagles are favored by 3.5 points. The Eagles have that championship DNA in them. You have to play a perfect game to beat them, and they are going to be hard to beat. I think for Tampa Bay to beat them, they need all hands on deck, and they're not going to have Mike Evans, their best receiver. And so I think it's just going to make it tough for them to win this game. I'm going with the Eagles. I think the Eagles, from top to bottom, have the most balanced and talented roster. If the Buccaneers had Mike Evans, I might say they have a good chance, especially since it's in Tampa Bay. And especially with how well Baker Mayfield has fit in there. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. In fact, I have Philadelphia winning 29-27, so they don't cover the spread, but they win. Does that mean that Tampa Bay is not capable of upsetting the Eagles? No, of course not. I think they, as much as anybody, even more so, have a really good shot of upsetting the Eagles. But they're going to have to play a perfect game. When you are missing an integral piece of your offense, that's harder to do. So I'm going to go with the Eagles, especially since they've proven me wrong when I've chosen against them. Like last week, I just think the Eagles, again, show their championship caliber here in this game and are able to find a way to win 29-27. Browns versus Lions. This is a much more interesting game now, given last week where the Browns were able to beat the Green Bay Packers. I did not see that coming. But I will say that Browns defense is for real. If there is something championship caliber about that team, it is their defense. Myles Garrett is no joke. He is a problem that opposing offenses have to deal with because he will wreck your offensive plan if you don't do something about it. And I think their defense will keep them in this game. And their offense is just, I don't think it's good enough to win a game in Detroit, unfortunately. It's not a high-scoring offense. It's more or less rely on our defense and control the time of possession. I think it's going to be hard for them to do that against Detroit because Detroit's offense is very good. I think Cleveland will be able to stay with them for the first half, maybe even 3 quarters. Once that fourth quarter hits and your defense has been out there for a while, again, fatigue starts to creep in and it just makes your job at your position harder on the defense. Not as quick to your positions or to your moves as you were in the beginning of the game. And so I think that's what's going to help the Lions pull out the victory in this game and the fact that they're playing at home. And so the Lions are favored by 8.5, but I have them winning 27-20. The defense keeps the Browns in this game, but because it's on the road and because their offense sputters at times, the Lions offense, at some point, if you're not scoring and they're having to be out on the field a lot, the Browns defense, this offense is going to find a way to score because they're just that good with Jared Goff and Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta. It's hard to stop them completely for 4 straight quarters. So I have the Lions winning this 27-20. The next game, oh man, Panthers and Patriots was a tough one to pick because You have the Panthers putting up 30 on the Falcons and holding them to 0. And so I'm like, oh man, do I go with them? The Patriots is in New England and they're favored by 5.5, which seems high to me, but maybe that's just me. I am going to go with the Patriots on this one. I just think Mike Vrabel is going to have this team ready, especially with last week's loss. And their defense held Pittsburgh to 21 points. I think they'll be able to stymie what the Panthers did last week, stifle their offense enough to get the victory. I have New England winning this game 24-21. And also, I think the home field was going to help New England in this game. So 24-21, they don't cover the spread, but they get the victory. And the last game, 1 o'clock Eastern, is the Titans versus the Texans. If Houston loses this game, then I think D'Amico Ryans is going to be on the very hot seat. The Texans didn't look last year like they did the year before, where people were saying, well, these Texans, man, they might be for real. They may be Super Bowl contenders. They took a step backwards last year. It looks like they've taken a leap backwards this year. They're 0-3. They don't look in sync. They just don't look good. Offensively, C.J. Stroud is definitely not putting up the numbers he was in his rookie year. And so there are definitely concerns there for Houston. And the only reason I have them winning this game is because they're playing Tennessee, a rookie quarterback, a team that I was watching this past week, and terrible clock management. Going into the half was horrible. They missed opportunities and just, again, poor clock management, poor coaching and execution. Execution was the word I was looking for, all the way around. But I think a lot of that I credit to Cam Ward's a rookie. They're trying to make this thing work and gel together. And so there's a learning curve. There's growing pains. This is the Texans' third, fourth year with C.J. Stroud at the helm and D'Amico Ryans, and things are going backwards. While I still think they win this game, there are definitely concerns there for Houston. I have them winning this game 28-20. It's at home for Houston, so that's one of the reasons I chose them to win. They are in a position where they're going to need to start winning games, or there might be different conversations in Houston. We then go to the 4:05 slot, and Jaguars at 49ers. 49ers are 3.5 points favorites. Man, the 49ers the past couple of years have just been bitten viciously by the injury bug. They just lost Nick Bosa this past week. I think he's out for the year. I think he tore his ACL. And so that has me concerned because they are already dealing with injuries across the board. George Kittle, Brock Purdy, Brandon Ayuk. I don't think he's come back yet. It's rough, man. I feel bad because they dealt with this last year. They do have Christian McCaffrey, which I think helps. But I'm going with the Jaguars, 24-21 on the road. Trevor Lawrence is a question mark. I remember how hyped he was coming out of college. He has not lived up to that hype, and there's question marks still there. Is he going to be the quarterback that everybody thought he was going to be when he came out of college? That has not been seen yet to be seen, and I think his window is closing to prove that he can play at an elite level. But just because of all the injuries, because they lost arguably their best defensive player, and they're already just hurting, again, with the injury bug just having ravaged their team, I think the Jaguars are able to take advantage of that and win this game 24-21. And hopefully, I know Nick Bosa's not coming back. Hopefully George Kittle and Brock Purdy and Brandon Ayuk can come back and really help get the 49ers back on track. The second game in the 4:05 p.m. slot is the Colts and Rams, which is, I think, going to be a very underrated game. The Colts have been probably the surprise. There's always at least one. And so far to this point of the season, the Colts have been the surprise team, I think, of the NFL. The Rams are favored at 3.5. I think a lot of that has to do because they're playing in Los Angeles. Daniel Jones has been just playing awesome. I don't want to take too much away from them, given the Colts' strength of schedule hasn't been great. I mean, they played Miami, Tennessee, right? I forget who else they've played. Oh, the Broncos. They beat the Broncos. The Broncos are a pretty good victory. I think it's going to be tough to go to LA and beat the Rams. The Rams are a very good team. They were last year, really, if they're able to get that touchdown in Philadelphia, they might be the ones representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. I do think the Rams win this game. I think they win 31-27. I think it's close. I think the Colts are still for real. Daniel Jones, just like Baker Mayfield found a new home in Tampa Bay, I think Daniel Jones has found a new home in Indianapolis. And it's great to see him revive his career and be doing so well. He's leading the league in a lot of categories and he just feels comfortable there. He's playing the way the New York Giants wish he would have played for them, but a lot of it is because their organization is a mess from the front office down to coaching. So I think Daniel Jones has found himself in a really good situation there in Indianapolis where he's been placed in a position where he can succeed, and he's proven it. With Jonathan Taylor there as the running back, I think that's also helps him ease into the passing game because Jonathan Taylor is one of the best running backs in the league. I think they'll put up a fight, but just because of the Rams' experience together as a team and having been in the playoffs often, I think they are able to eke out this victory. But I believe the Colts will keep it close. Again, it is 31-27 in favor of the Rams, but should be an excellent game. The 4:25 slot on Sunday, you have the Bears versus the Raiders. The Bears are 1.5-point favorites. I'm going to stop picking the Raiders. Keep picking the Raiders and I keep doing poorly. And I think I'm going to go with Chicago to win this 28-24. I'm hoping that what we saw last week against Dallas was just the beginning of this offense finally beginning to gel and show signs of life. And Caleb Williams trying to take that job. Not that he's not taking it seriously, but to really come to an understanding of what it takes to win in the NFL. It looks like he was on a mission this past week. And yeah, I know Dallas Cowboys, their defense is terrible. But he made some throws in that game that were on point. Just like beautiful throws. I expect him to do the same thing against this Raiders defense. I think they'll go into Las Vegas and get the win, 28-24. Another potential to be the game of the week is the Ravens versus the Chiefs at Arrowhead. The Ravens are actually 2.5-point favorites. And as I mentioned in my recap video, I have some major concerns with Kansas City. That first half of that New York Giants game on Sunday Night Football was not good. I know we were able to get the win, but again, New York Giants are not a good football team right now. To have struggled the way we did that first game, where our offense looked completely out of sync, our running game against one of the worst teams was not able to really get it going the way I had hoped. And there was miscues in the passing game. Really, the only thing really liked about that game was Tyquan Thornton. I hope they get him the ball more. But our defense, and I think our defense will keep us in this game. Last year, the breaks went our way, and so we were able to win a lot of those games. Now we're starting to lose those games. I still see a lot of the things that concerned me last year with our offense. I see it again this year. Travis Kelce, Hall of Fame tight end. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. And great talent, but like they say, Father Time is undefeated. He is definitely showing that he's not the prime Travis Kelce from a few years ago. And with the injuries to Worthy and Jalen Royals, even though Jalen Royals is a rookie, so I wouldn't have expected too much out of him. And then the Rashee Rice suspension, that doesn't help anything. But our interior offensive line is sometimes questionable. Josh Simmons seems to be doing well. Kingley actually did pretty well this past game, so I was happy to see that. But I have so many questions, especially since we have such a difficult time establishing the run game. at least this past game, I don't think Patrick Mahomes was the leading rusher, but we need to get some help on the run game. And I feel because our defense so much relies on our defense, I think the Ravens are going to be able to take advantage of that. I also think the Ravens are ticked off from losing that game on Monday night. And it's crazy to think that one of these teams is going to leave Sunday's game being 1-3 when they were both playoff teams. Last year, they played for the AFC Championship 2 years ago, but one of them is going to be 1-3. And I don't like saying this, but I think it's going to be the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to be 1-3. I think Baltimore pulls out a win 30-23. I trust their run game better because they have Derrick Henry. Unless the Chiefs can create multiple turnovers or get to Lamar Jackson the way the Lions did, I have my concerns with this Chiefs offense. I don't think Worthy coming back is going to be, I think it's going to help, but I think they need more than that. I don't know if it's a play calling thing. I definitely know it's a running back room thing. They need to address that somehow. I'm sure Veach is making calls and trying to see what options are available to help remedy that or at least improve it. But I just think the Chiefs have looked so out of sync, not just this year, but last year as well, where again, people are like, oh, once they get their offense or this player back, or if they had Rashee Rice and he didn't get injured, woulda, coulda, shoulda, it looks the same, where they struggle to put more than 20 points up on the board. And that's not going to win you very many games. And I just trust Baltimore more at this time with their run. Derrick Henry, I'm sure he's peeved off because of all this fumble streak. I think he's going to be holding the ball until like it bursts. He's going to be holding it tight. And I think Lamar Jackson is going to want to quickly forget the loss from Monday night. I think they're able to go into Arrowhead, and the Chiefs will start 0-2 in their home games, which is so weird to think because they're usually so good at Arrowhead. I have major concerns with Kansas City and their offense, and if there is a solution that can fix it this year, I honestly don't know. I have Baltimore winning 30-23 unless the Kansas City Chiefs start hitting deep balls like they did when they had Tyreek. I don't know I think they're going to have to address it if they want to contend this year. And if they lose this game, I think Brett Veach is going to be calling lots of people to see what can be done. I have Baltimore winning this game 30-23. Sunday Night Football, 8:20 p.m. We have the Packers as 6.5 point favorites over the Cowboys. This Cowboys defense is atrocious. If this Green Bay offense, so they just came off facing one of the better defenses in the league, and now they're going to face one of the worst ones. I think they're going to light up the Dallas Cowboys. I think Micah Parsons is going to play like a man possessed because he's going to want to make a statement. And I think Green Bay goes into Dallas and wins 40-28. And Dak Prescott is able to keep them in the game a bit. But with the CeeDee Lamb injury, it's tough because CeeDee Lamb is an elite receiver. It's like the Buccaneers losing Mike Evans. It makes it all the harder, and especially when at least Tampa Bay has a legit defense. When your defense is not good, and to the point where they're basically forcing you to score every time you have the ball, it's just tough to win. Green Bay I know they lost this past game, but again, it's because they ran into a really good defense. When they play well, the Green Bay Packers look like a well-oiled machine. And so I think they definitely put the hammer down on Dallas and win 40-28. And we have our Monday night football game. There's actually two of them. This one's a 7:15 one between the Jets and the Dolphins. The Dolphins are favored by 2.5. This was another one that was difficult to choose because I don't want to say it's a who cares game, but it's okay. The bottom of the league, two teams playing for a win right now. I chose the Miami Dolphins hesitantly because I don't know what two I'm going to get. But I don't know what the Jets quarterback situation is. I don't know. I think Justin Fields is supposed to come back and play. I'm not sure. Or he might still be in concussion protocol. Either way, if they do Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor's a really good backup. I think they'll give themselves a chance. But because the Dolphins are playing at home, I think they're able to squeak out a win 27-24, especially since they showed fight against Buffalo. That's what I'm kind of leaning on. Okay. I know the Jets did too against Tampa, and they actually came close to winning that game. But I'm going to go with the Dolphins just because they're at home, 27-24. And also because Tua has done very well against the Jets in his career. I think he's undefeated actually against them. I'm going with the Dolphins to win that game 27-24. And then the last game of the week, the Monday Nighter at 8:15, so the second of the two, is the Bengals versus the Broncos. I don't expect the Bengals to do anything in this game. The Broncos have an elite defense. I'm not sure about Bo Nix yet. It looks like he's had some ups and downs and has shown some inconsistencies, but Cincinnati's defense is nothing to write home about. They gave up 48 points. I think Denver wins this easily, 27-14, and that's me being generous. I think Denver definitely covers the 7.5, and Cincinnati I don't think without Joe Burrow there, it would have been hard enough with Joe Burrow to go into Denver and win just because Denver's defense is really good. It would have been a much better game, but without him, and it's Jake Browning, again, no disrespect to him, I can see the Denver defense eating him alive and dominating this game from start to finish. So 27-14 in favor of the Broncos, as much as I hate to say that because, as you know, I can't stand the Broncos as a Chiefs fan. Anyways, those are my picks for week 4. Can you believe it? We're in week 4 already of the NFL. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see how I do this week. I've been doing pretty poorly, especially this past week, but we'll see if I improve my record this week. And hopefully I'm wrong about the Chiefs game. I would love for the Chiefs to be able to win that game, but we'll see. And I'm hoping just for good games across the board. Because blowouts are boring. We want good games that keep us on the edge of our seat. Anyways, God bless you. Remember, Jesus loves you, and I'll talk to you in the next video.